Hello everyone, welcome back to Pustak Verma Education for All YouTube channels. This is Pustak Verma and today we are gonna deal with a poem from grade 12 compulsory English new course. It's I Was My Own Route by Julia de Burgos. So before dealing with this poem, we see some of the questions mentioned in our textbooks. They are in A. Do you try to be like what others want to be you to be? Why? Why not? के तिमी अरूले भने जस्तो हुन चाहन्छौ? किन चाहन्छौ अथवा किन चाहन्नौ भन्ने कुरा मेन्सन्स गर्ने. The answer is no, I don't like to be what others want me to be because it is those who lack either sense of self or talent, personality traits that another person has want to follow such tradition. Those who are is out of track, those who have no sense of talent, they only follow what others wants to do that another person has wants to follow such tradition. For instance, for example, people identify with a hero, heroine, an archetype, and wants to be. But I want to be a self-dependent and distinct person than the others to do something better and new for the sake of the people, humanity, and my nation. And therefore, I do not like to be what others prefers me to be. Which number B? How can we achieve our identity? The very prime question is हामीले आफ्नो आइडेन्टिटी कसरी अचिभ गर्न सक्छौँ. Education is the most significant factors which teaches one to recognize or achieve his or her identity. Hard labor, contemplations, proper planning, and firm determinism, दृढ संकल्प भन्छ यस, are other factors to achieve our identity. Identity is required for growth and development. Then about the author Julia de Burgos. Born in Carolina, Puerto Rico, Julia de Burgos moved to New York where she worked as a journalist and then Cuba where she pursued further studies at the University of Havana. De Burgos' poem deal with the theme of women's liberations and social justice. As she was a freedom fighter, she was a radical feminist. She presents her views in the poem through radical ways for the liberation of women's and social justice. In her poem, I Was My Own Route depicts is how women are burdened with a patriarchal ideology. This प्रत्यक्षात्मक male dominated ideology बाट कसरी तिनीहरू dominate भएका हुन्छन् from the past. Therefore, De Burgos urges the women to detach themselves from the past so as to locate their identity within. Then about the summary is I Was My Own Route, the poem by Juliette Burgos. She was a radical feminist, and in this poem, she rejects the male ideology of determining female's life and journey in the traditional paths. It is the male ideology, male is concept that determines the female in the traditional concept, and then they walk in the modern concept. She associates thoughts of male to the gender inequality and their prejudices for male, predetermined thought for the females. In the first stanza, the speaker makes it clear that there was a difference between what was wanted of her and what she was. There is the difference between her desire and her is winnings to be. She rejects patriarchal ideology and wishes to kiss a new path of her own, not indulging in traditional game of hide and seek. Through this, she talks about her own personal freedom and liberation of women. In this poem, the writer, this poetess, talks in favor of females and their liberation, freedom, or swatantrata. She is looking for the fresh ways to navigate her journey. She wants to walk in the new track, new path, not the path dominated by the males, choosing her own paths, not on the path predetermined or set path by the male members of the society. She mocks on this path and selects a new route of her own choice. She wants to do something in her own life by her own choice. This poem makes an agenda of gender discrimination as a response to the social inequality that existed at the contemporary time as articulated by Juliette Burgos. In the second stanza, the poetess speaker finds many male-determined social norms as obstacles in her newly forwarded routes, but she overcomes all limitations her old determined feet. She says that is how she was thrown back to perceive the older traditional paths with her broken heart with old blocks. In the third stanza, the speaker struggles a lot with a feeling of liberation. She is desires, she dreams for the liberation or freedom to balance her own life of walking in the new and truthful path of life. She wants to go far away in the horizon and obtain all sorts of liberation which the male members of the society have already perceived. That means she wants the equality, yes, as the male members are realizing in the society. Therefore, she kisses the several new paths. She chooses the several new tracks to perceive all sorts of freedoms and joy in her life. Then in the fourth stanza, the persona finds her in an already set situation, means predetermined is places, where there is no any history, future, edges, भनेको किनारा or other things except the words and restrictions of male and females under the shadows of male. Patriarchy has put several boundaries for the women to limit them into four walls of their house. She finds her present painful, surrounding, surrounded by several obstacles and traditions formulated by the patriarchal society. She finds herself restricted from every corners of the societies by the male ideologies. And she projects such a earth where seems no hope for the women far and far टाढासम्म कुनै आशा छैन. In the fifth stanza, the speaker expresses her what she was and what the male members of the community wanted her to be is in the fifth stanza she presents two concepts of the female, one her own choice, another what the male members of the society wanted her to be. And she says that she was everything in herself. She attempted a lot to obtain she desires to be. In the sixth stanza, the speaker turns back to the first stanza and expresses her own attempt to be different than what patriarchal society wanted her to be. Disappointing future makes her very sad, and she wills to overcome painful circumstances of her life through though it seems troublesome. Above all, poem teaches us moral. Both men and women are the members of the same society. They are created by the same God, and they equally require the freedom, liberation, independence, and so on in their life. They should be allowed to pursue their own paths, not patriarchal society determined path or the male dominated society determined path. Then the visual summary. The writer is Julia de Burgos. She finds the society in the hands of male. All the female members of the society are trapped by the male members in a net jal. And even the law is also in favor of males, not of females. She wanted to choose her own right track, right path. She wanted the freedom, she wanted the liberations, and she wanted to break down all the restrictions of the society. In its liberation, she feels herself very happy and free. Yes, she even revolts in the society, my body, my choice, through several ways, and she realizes this. She even hopes to see the rise of the sun with a lot of hopes of races in the society. Then glossaries, promissory, counting or conveying a promise, whiplash, a blow with a whips, epose, periods, and a regal of like are fit for a king or queen royals, wrapped, twisted out of normal, and homage, things said are done to show great respect. Theme of the poem I Was My Own Root. De Burgos' poem I Was My Own Root projects the personal freedom of the author, of the speakers, and the liberation of women. Through this, she also rejects the male ideology of determining female's life her journey in the traditional path. She associates thoughts of male to the gender inequality and the prejudices of females. She is looking for the fresh path to navigate her own journey, choosing her own choice of path. She favors freedom and liberation of the women's. The poem justifies both a male and females are equally significant and they are created by the same God. Yes, they have same blood. So why there is such types of discrimination among male and females? Therefore, our lives should not be subjected to beliefs of others, since she is provided the same fundamental rights as male in the constitutions. So this is the theme of the poem I Was My Own Root. Questions is answer the following questions. Question number A. Why did the speaker try to be why did the speaker try to be the way man wanted her to be? The speaker tried to be what is tried to be the way man wanted her to be because he wanted to see what the male expected her to be like and how they will behave due to their hegemonic male concept. Question B. What do you understand by her feet wouldn't accept walking backward? Here, by her feet wouldn't accept walking backward, we mean that she was not ready to accept inferior concept of females by the males. Rather, she wanted to race like males with equal foot of the ultimate goals of liberation and equality. Question number C. Who are the old guards? Why did they grow desperate? Old guards भनेका को हुन् र उनीहरू किन उदास छन्, sad छन्? The old guards are the traditional people preoccupied with the patriarchal concept. These people grow desperate as they find the poetess uplifting the lifestyles of the poor people, especially women's. Yes, and in working for the emancipation of the people. Yes, then is how did the speaker have a feeling of intimate liberation? Speakers ma कसरी is a feeling of intimate liberations उनले realize गर्छिन्. The speaker had a feeling of intimate liberations as she has crossed the barriers of patriarchal society and she kissed a new path of liberation, rejecting the old one predetermined by the men. Question number E. Why did the desire to follow man wrap in her? The desire to follow man wrapped in her because of patriarchal society and its norms prevailed in the society. She wanted to feel liberations and freedom, pleasures, but she is forced to follow traditional concepts and ideas predetermined by the man. Then the questions reference to the context. Question number A. What does the speaker mean when she says she was playing a game of hide and seek with her being? जब उनले के भन्छन् she was playing the game of hide and seek with her own being, what does she wants to mean? When the speaker says she was playing the game of hide and seek with her being in the third line of the first stanza, once more at the end of the poem, she means to show her rebellious nature and rejection of male ideology which limits females in the surrounding of four walls. It further means to state that she needs liberation, freedom, pleasures, to escape from the gender stereotype image of female and choose the route of her own choice. Question number B. Why, in your own view, was her back ripped by the old guards as she was advancing forward? किन उनको यस जब उनी फरवर्ड अगाडि बढ्न खोजिरहेकी हुन्छन् उनको ब्याक किन रिप्ड हुन्छ by the old gods भनेको छ. The old gods put many obstacles, धेरै समस्याहरू, traditions, norms, threats of the patriarchal ideology. As she was advancing forward, as a result, her back was ripped. Here, the old gods refers to the old traditions, culture, norms, and patriarchal determined values. But she required the liberation and race in the journey of freedom. Thus, restriction, hindrances, obstacles, difficulties, and blockades created by the old gods in the society makes her back ripped and suffered a lot. Question number C. What, according to the speaker, did it feel like to be free? Free भएपछि कस्तो feel मान्छेले गर्छन्? According to the speaker, to be free means to fly like a bird without any social restrictions of male restrictions. It means to walk and feel like the males in the society, and to receive long-awaited liberations and freedom pleasures for what they were longing for. For her, it is as same as walking in the path of her own choice and to conduct the task by her own will. Which number D? What does the speaker prefer? Why does the speaker prefer the present to the past? Only present like prefer गर्छन् past को तुलनामा. The answer is the speaker prefers the present to the past because her history was terrible, painful, and troublesome. She suffered a lot in the past. Patriarchal ideology made her suffer a lot, and it was dominant in the past even. This she was limited by the male restrictions. She was the subject to play and laugh, and she didn't realize the liberation and emancipation by her heart. She was restricted to do things by her own wish. She suffered from male domination, exploitation, and starvation. And these are the things that took place in the past. But at the present time, she feels liberated, free from all male beliefs. Male ideology is declining day by day. Females have started raising, realizing the fruits of liberation, fruits of freedom. Strict male dominated beliefs have been declining in the contemporary society, and she feels herself completely free in her choices and decisions. She is predetermined to permitted to walk and visit of her own choices. Therefore, she prefers the contemporary society than the history or the past one. Question E. John Donne, in his poem No Man is an Island, says no man is an island entire of him itself. Would Burgos agree with Donne? Do you agree with Donne or Burgess? John Donne, a prominent metaphysical poet, in his poem No Man is an Island says that no man is an island entire of itself. By this, he talks about the whole human race and their significance for the development of this society. The phrase no man is an island expresses the idea that beings do badly is when isolated from the others and needs to be a part of community in order to thrive. It means no one is truly self-sufficient. Everyone must rely on the contemporary company or comforts of others in order to thrive. Thus, we need group works. And but I agree with John Donne and support his view of maintaining equality in the society in the names of rights, freedom, justice, choices, opportunities, and many more. He talks about the equality of males and females. But on the other hand, Burgess seems to be furious and annoyed with the male-dominated society, and therefore she expresses her anger and rejection of male ideology, beliefs, and the restrict females' liberations and opportunities in this society. She seems radical feminist who not only talks in favor of female emancipations but also she goes against the male protocols and thoughts. Anyway, I support Don as he favors the development of the society as a whole. He is not biased in concept of male and female. He do not discriminate even male and females. Both he consider both male and females as equal in the society. Then a reference beyond the text. Write an essay on my idea of freedom. My idea of freedom and essay. Freedom generally means the ability to act or change without constraint. बिना समस्याको अगाडि बढ्नु. The world famous scientist Albert Einstein said, freedom in any case is only possible by constantly struggling for it. यदि हामीले लगातार रूपमा सङ्घर्ष गर्यौं भने हामीले फ्रिडम गेम गर्न सकिहाल्छौं. I mean, freedom as the state of independence where one can do what he or she likes without any restrictions by anyone. Moreover, it can be called a state of mind where one has the right or freedom of doing what he or she can think of. Freedom is availability of choice. It is something when one can choose whether he or she wants to do it or not. It is an innate right which humans have since their birth. It is not something then could be tossed, seen, felt, or reached. Different people have different opinion, definitions, and thoughts about the idea of freedom. Some talks about the freedom in political sense, others talks in social freedoms, and some about personal independence. Some define it as a religious freedom, but the fact that everyone wants to be free hold true in all cases. To wrap up, to sum up is in short, freedom is choice to live with one's own life, what one wants, live where one wants and eat by own choice and learn what one's heart desires. This means that freedom can apply to different aspects of life. Freedom is not an absolute term. Freedom, what a wonderful word. We people realize the best road to progress is Freedom's Road, said by John F. Kennedy. This is about the essay. Then about question number B. Not all people, however, seem to agree with the ideas of freedom of held by Burgos in this poem. For example, William Faulkner in his novel Requiem for a Nun says the past is never dead. It is not even past. All of us labor in the web spun long before we were born, webs of heredity and environment, of desire and consequences, of history and eternity. Do you agree with Faulkner's why or why not? The answer is obviously not all the people, however, seems to agree with the kind of freedom upheld by Burgos in his poem. I was my own route. William Faulkner in his novel Requiem for a Nun says the past is never dead. It is not even past. All of us labor in the web spun long before we are born. Web of heredity and of environment, of desire and of consequence, of history and eternity. These quotes are the best known line of Faulkner's from the Requiem for None means that there is no present. It is always past. Think about it when is right now. As soon as one says it, the moment is gone and we all have of that moment is a memory. In that sense, we are always living in the past experiences and from memories and shaping our actions. Thus, the past will always exist because everything moves forward and so it is constantly redefined. Whoever said it is dead, I think that the certain moments are dead, but not the past. To go or to move ahead, whatever we do and experience become history or the past. The past will always be with us. We can't say something happened if we are still thinking about it and making the choices based on it today. Our memories and actions are shaped by our past experiences. In Faulkner's view, there is no such a thing as present. Everything is constantly relying on the in the past. Julia Burgos is a radical feminist who fights for the freedom as she wants to transcend the male ideology and beliefs present in this society. But as mentioned by Faulkner, for the sake of the humanity and human life, we need to survival of both male and females in the world. Thus, I agree with the view of Faulkner's past. Okay, and this is much about the poem I Was My Own Route by Julia D. Burgos. Regarding this poem, if you have any queries, mention below in the comment sections. If you find the video interesting and helpful, like it, share it, subscribe it, and click on the bell icon to get notification from upcoming videos. Thank you everybody. Goodbye. Have a good day.